Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Kylie here, and today I'm just going to be reviewing the Black Panther movie. So, I'm really excited about it. I've been waiting quite a bit for it, so I'm kind of pumped. But before I get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Like, subscribe down here. And comment and let me know if you have any other suggestions. I am getting to it. A lot of stuff is coming out, so I'm super excited, and I'm reading a couple of things, so I'm very excited for these next couple of months. So I've seen some suggestions, and don't forget I haven't taken note of those. And yeah, these next couple of months are gonna be a lot of fun with a lot of stuff coming out and a lot of new things that I'm gonna be reading. So stay tuned for that, and without further ado, let's get into it. So if you don't know anything about Black Panther, it is, well, there's multiple Black Panthers in the comics, but however, the main one is T'Challa. He is the prince and then now the king of Wakanda. Wakanda in itself, and in a sense, is an isolated community in Africa. Pretty much they have discovered a amazing element, vibranium, which is obviously made in is been toyed with for so many years, and it's in the comics, but as well as MCU, of being like the strongest metal in the world. Because of the troubles of the world, Wakanda kind of isolated itself and was able to master and forge vibranium to its truest potential. And they kind of let the world believe that they are a third world country, and they don't really share their resources, and that's their way of protecting themselves from war and other hardships of the world. And so the premise of the movie is T'Challa coming to his kinghood. Obviously, if you saw Winter Soldier, you saw that his father died. And that was kind of like a big part of Winter Soldier, was his vengeance. So when he comes back, he is introduced, pretty much, it's the ceremony of his being king. And the basis of the story is his trials and tribulations, his understanding of the effects of his father and previous generations, and what he's going to do about it. And even though questions did arise of his father's choices before, the basis of the movie is Killmonger, who is played by Michael B. Jordan. And T'Challa, who is played by Chad Boseman. So that brings me to one of the things that I really liked about this movie was Killmonger was a villain where I feel like you could really empathize with and you can understand. And I really enjoy villains when you can kind of go, oh, I get how they came up with this. I get why they're this tormented or this upset, and why they want to do the things that they do, because they've seen such harshness in the world, because they don't understand why things are like this when they can be better if you just but they just go about it with more brute force. So that was really Killmonger's perspective on things. But without getting into that, I feel like this movie parallels what it actually meant in real life. Now, with that said, it isn't preachy, which the director Ryan Coogler did. Now, it was obvious of the impact of this movie was, and he did it where the storyline kind of paralleled that in some ways, but it wasn't, it was still a very beautiful movie. And that's where I think that this was really done really well, is that you can watch it and you can watch the action scenes and you can get into the storyline of this make-believe realm, but at the same time it really had an amazing underlying thing, which is, you know, bad stuff happens to people, and sometimes people who are sheltered don't understand. So, which is kind of what T'Challa was he was a prince, and he was sheltered into this amazing, beautiful society, and he didn't see the harshnesses of the world like Killmonger did. Ryan Coogler, who is a director, he's pretty young, and pretty talented. He did Creed, did a very, very, very beautiful job. However, I will say the flip side of that, and this is the flip side of a lot of Marvel movies that have been coming out that aren't the Avengers or aren't Guardians of the Galaxy or aren't the big assembly movies. It's kind of, the editing gets a little choppy for me. There's some parts where I'm like, it didn't flow. It could flow a little better. However, it was on the lesser side of that issue I have with these movies as of lately. Things that I really enjoyed about this movie were the cast. I think the cast was beautiful. I think Chad Boseman, Michael B. Jordan he was a good villain. I did a good job of showing Killmonger's layers. Other cast members, Angela Bassett, I love her. You know, American Horror Story she's in, and she does an amazing job no matter what character she does. Sterling K. Brown, This Is Us, come on. He was the father of Killmonger and the uncle of T'Challa, the unknown uncle of T'Challa. And he did an amazing job, of course, but anything he does is just like throw the ball and he just knocks it out of the park. that's really what it comes down to. He just is raw talent at that point. There also were all the women were very strong, powerful queens, like beautiful. Not even just the queen of Wakanda. His love interest, which is played by Lupita Nyong'o, Nakia, she is strong as well. She's a spy internationally to help. In the movie, it looked like she helped refugees, but she also, when they went to Korea, she also spoke, was very well known there, so I'm sure she went to other countries as well. Badass. She, had these like circle things that were obviously made of vibranium, and she just went, pew, pew, and they're like frisbees, and they came back to her. It was kind of crazy. As well as his sister Shuri. The thing I liked about her was that he did have a sister in the comic books, but she was very, kind of like the queen. She actually was Black Panther at a certain time, but they modernized her in MCU, and I really enjoyed that. And she was the top of the technology, where like other countries have enhanced vibranium to its pure potential, which they made it into clothing, which they made it into fuel, which they made it into anything at all. And that's why Wakanda is so ahead in the comic books as to regular world, even though they have, superheroes as well and other resources. Was that vibranium actually is kind of like this crazy resource. So I really loved her. Then there's Okoye, who's played by Diane Guerrera? Oh my god, if I mispronounce that, I'm sorry, but I'm just not good at pronouncing names. And you know her from Walking Dead. She plays Michonne. She's an amazing actress as well. I love what about this movie is that most of the strong warriors that are close to T'Challa were women, so it was very beautiful. She is like the elite of the elite of the elite when it comes to fighting. She is just like top notch, just the badass of them all. She really was an amazing character as well. There was also Agent Ross, who was an outsider. They hinted, in the movie they took him to Wakanda, and it was pretty substantial because he saw a different side. He had no idea of what was going on. So the cast was amazing. I really think that they did an excellent job. It was directed very beautifully. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the storytelling, but there are a few things that I actually am not too keen on. And this is, the main one was that the main villains, it was presumed that Claw was going to be the main villain. And then Killmonger came in this really cool scene at a museum, and then he was telling the person, no, this is from Wakanda, and she's like, no, and then they kill everybody. Spoiler alert. And to get vibranium, and Claw, of course, has put his hands in vibranium quite a bit. He kind of figured out through N'Jobu, who is, T'Challa's uncle, like I said before. He kind of spilled secrets and all that stuff. So that created the rift of Killmonger, because Killmonger is N'Jobu's son. But they went to America. Anyways, see the movie. I don't want to give too much. I know it's kind of all over the place, but I just don't want to give too much away, and I don't want to go too much into the storyline. But however, I think that the way that they did the villains in it was in a way choppy. You know, Claw, for a big part, they're like, we gotta get him, he has it, we've been searching for him, he's a bad guy. And then Killmonger wasn't really talked about, and it wasn't really like he was there. And he kind of disappeared for a minute. He kind of just went away. And I didn't really like that. And I didn't really like how Claw was finished off. I understand it. And I think that what happened to him was fine. However, the way it was handled on the big screen could have been done better, in my opinion. And also, Claw is so crazy that I feel like the way he went down, where he went away, killed, I don't really think it matches the way they perceived him as a person, which is a crazy psycho lunatic. And I think that he would have thought of that. I think that he would have understood it, because he just is, you know, conniving and evil and just a psycho. So I don't think that he would have underestimated anybody. And he survived this long, so I don't think that I just don't think it matched. That's all I will say. And that kind of goes along with the thing that I really didn't like about this movie. I'm sorry, my ears are itching so bad. Is that the storylines, and this isn't a problem with Black Panther, more or less, because I think this is actually on the lesser side of this issue, is I feel like because we have been, you know, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they have hyped up these Avengers movies, and you want everybody to get into the Avengers movies, that they kind of throw these movies, and I'm not saying they don't have any thought into them, and I'm not saying they aren't beautifully done. I think they shove a couple of movies into one just because you want to know their backstory, you want to know what drives them, you want to know what they're going for, you want to know why they are who they are. However, I think that they are just ultimately just trying to make it so we understand them before the Avengers movies, and I think that a lot of characters are more important than that. I think Black Panther, I think they kind of did that with Doctor Strange, I think they definitely did that with Ant-Man. Even though it was very cute, I think that that was probably the worst case scenario. That was a good watch, but it wasn't done I think could have been done a lot better. And other people have said that happens in Thor movies as well. I'm bi-partial, I love Thor movies, but going back to Black Panther, I think that there was times where that has happened. I think that in the beginning it really showed emphasis on his internal struggle when it comes to what other people are saying and how he needs to protect Wakanda. However, you can tell that he has empathy for the other whole world in general, unlike his father, who was pretty much main focus was Wakanda. I'm not saying that T'Challa's wasn't, because it was. And especially at the end, where he learns all of the effects of his father and previous generations' mistakes, I do think that they did a really good job at relaying that message of his internal struggle and how he's going to be better and how he's going to move from that. But I did not like how the villains are just chop, 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 and then we're going to see them, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that. I think there could have been more in-depth of that. They did a good job with Killmonger towards the end, but the middle part of the villains, where it switched from Claw to Killmonger, it didn't do it justice, I don't think. I think it could have been done a lot better. But all in all, I don't have a lot of complaints about this movie. This movie was done extremely well, and done in a way that was so important and so tasteful that for what it's worth, because of those negative effects, that I think that I don't even necessarily think that it's anyone's fault. I think that, there are just things that need to get out, and honestly, let's be real, this Avengers movie is going to be crazy, so they're trying to be as efficient as possible, but I also feel like sometimes that doesn't do the characters justice, in my opinion. But with that said, this movie was the better of all of that to me. They did, Coogler did a very good job in that. So I personally like this better than a lot of movies that I've seen. The new Phase 2 and Phase 3 movies, besides the Avengers, I haven't, I like them, but besides the Avengers, I don't get the tingles when I think about it. So I was really hoping they weren't going to do that with Black Panther. I really was hoping they weren't going to just try to shove things to, pretty much make a prequel to Avengers. But they didn't. I think it was done, like, there was the things that I don't like, but however, I think it was done really well, and I think it's a beautiful movie. I think it was artistic. I think it was directed beautifully. I think it had a good message, and I think it was a good action film, and that's really what you want from these superhero movies. You want a superhero to be a superhero, but with, you know, internal struggles, and you want villains that have a little bit of a story where you can relate to them, because that's what makes a good villain. Yeah, so anyways, I thought it was great. 2 thumbs up, you know, ready to go. Let's get this Black Panther in the Avengers. Have him kick some ass. All right, down below, let me know if you guys thought it was worth the hype. I've seen a couple people think that it wasn't, so please, comments and concerns down below. And until next time, be kind to one another, and see ya.